come without the reality of where to come, you'll try to find rest in places that will only make you more tired than you are right now. You'll find rest in a relationship. You'll find rest in some type of medicine. You'll find rest in some type of meditative practice. You'll find rest in yoga. And although I don't knock those things, I'm here to tell you that those things might replenish some of you, but it can't replenish all of you. And when you get to the point where you feel like you're going to pass out, where you're exhausted, the only place that you can go to be filled back up is to Jesus Christ, where there's peace that passes all understanding, that's flowing forevermore. It takes a way. Come to me. Do you remember when you first got saved? You got to the point in your life where you just realize, I've tried everything else. I've tried drugs, I've tried alcohol, I've tried sex, I've tried everything and everybody else. And you reach the point where you said, my only decision now is to come to Jesus. It's almost like a conversion experience. When you get to the point where you need rest so desperately that you run to Jesus like a 2-year-old runs to their father. And you say, I need what only you can give me. Come to me. Can you imagine Jesus standing in front of this crowd with his arms outstretched, saying, don't just come. He's directing your path. He's saying, come to me. When was the last time that you went on a date with Jesus? When was the last time that you made dinner and you put out 2 plates, but it was just you, and you sat down and you just had dinner with Jesus? When was the last time that you said, okay, Lord, I'm going to let you pour out what's been depleted? Jesus says, come to me. Watch this. Watch this. All you who labor and are heavy laden. Notice, Jesus called for a specific group of people. Jesus called only for those that recognized that they were burdened and heavy laden. Jesus didn't call for the people that weren't willing to look introspectively and realize the condition and the state that they were in. But he called for the people that came to self-recognition. That I'm weary, I'm burdened, I've been laboring, and there's no other place that I can go. You know what else rest takes? Real rest? Real rest takes the ability to look introspectively and realize how depleted you are. You will never, ever, ever be able to get the rest that you need until you first realize how much rest you need. If you feel like I can run and I can keep going and I only need just a little bit, then you will never, ever, ever be replenished. You have to realize the depth of your need. You have to realize how empty your soul has become. You have to get to the point where you look introspectively and you do say, yeah, I am exhausted. Now understand that Jesus gives rest to any and everybody, but the rest that he's talking about in here, in our text, this rest is for people that aren't just burdened, but they've got burdens the size of boulders, which is why he uses the words heavy laden. He doesn't just say, hey, come to me if you're laden, come to me. He says, if you're burdened and heavy laden, if you realize that you've been carrying a whole bunch of stuff to the point where your back is going to break, and now you have to come to the point where you have to admit it, now you're ready to to receive the rest that I have for you. It's amazing because we deny our need for so long that we begin to believe that we're okay. It's amazing because we begin to believe that we're so strong and we're so independent and we're so capable, we will convince ourselves that we're not as spiritually exhausted as we really are, because we've got the car and we've got the house and we've made our way, we've got the degree. We get to the point where we feel like Superman and Superwoman and we feel like we got this and there's nothing wrong. That is dangerous and detrimental to your own spiritual health. You have to be able to say that behind this Superman mask is a man that's hurting, a man that's tired, a man that's wounded. Behind this Superwoman mask is a woman that's exhausted, a woman that needs some spiritual replenishment, a woman that just needs some rest. I'm sitting here Superman for everybody else, but I feel like Clark Kent in my own personal life, and I need to be released. Introspection. He says, all you who are weary, burdened and heavy laden, you've got to look introspectively and discover, where am I spiritually? Where am I personally? Where am I emotionally? Where am I mentally? I could be performing well at work, but you know what? Those are works. I can do that with my eyes closed. Where am I in here? Out there, everything looks fine. But where am I in here? Because if I continue denying the obvious, then I'll never get the rest that I need for my spirit and my soul. Jesus says, watch this. Verse 29. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Verse 30, look at what he says. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Finding that rest that your soul needs, it takes initiative to be able to take advantage of the invitation. It takes awareness to know where to go for your rest. It takes introspection so that you're able to see, golly, I'm not as strong as I thought. I'm not as bulletproof as I thought. But then once you come to Jesus, once you take advantage of the invitation that he's issued, once you decide to step into his presence and allow the Prince of Peace to impart peace to you that passes all understanding, then you know what ultimately it's about? It's about exchange. Yes. He says, take my yoke upon you. In other words, he's saying, you came to this destination with a lot of burdens. You came to this destination with a lot of issues. You came to this destination with a lot of problems. But you can't leave this place of rest with the same stuff that you came with. You've got to be willing to cast all of that stuff down at the destination of rest and pick up what it is that I have for you. Yes, you came full of cares. Yes, you came full of worries. Yes, you came full of stress. But the point of rest is not for you to feel good for 15 minutes and walk away. But the point of rest is for you to run to his presence, fall down on your face, empty out everything that's unlike him, everything that's burdening you, everything that's bothering you, and exchange it for what he has. He says his burden is light. Well, what's his burden? He gives you burdens of peace. He gives you burdens of joy. He gives you burdens of service. He gives you burdens of vision. He gives you burdens of focus. He gives you burdens of resolve. This is the point of rest. It's an exchange. Jesus says, come to me because I got something for you that's way better than what you've been carrying. If you're not willing to release what you've been carrying at my feet, then don't even come. But the moment moment that you come is the moment that you have to say all to Jesus. I surrender all to Jesus. I freely give. I carry this boulder in here, but I'm leaving this boulder at your feet, and I'm taking back with me what it is you have for me. I want to exchange my sorrows for your joy. I want to exchange my pain for your pleasure. I want to exchange my burdens of hurt and shame for your burdens of vision and passion and focus. Jesus says this rest thing, it's an exchange. Now watch this. The reason why rest needs to be reoccurring is because you leave it there, you get what he gives you, you go back out in the world, and I guarantee you're going to pick up some more stuff.
Oh, yes. That's right.
Now don't think that it's just a one-time thing. You rest, you cast it off, you get up, and you're good. Don't forget last week, the viper is still in the bush. And so you're going to go back out into the world and pick up some stuff that's going to require for you to go right back to the destination of rest and release it again. This exchange isn't an event, a one-time thing where we release and then leave. But this exchange is a reoccurring reality, because I know the moment that I step out of this destination and back into the rigors of life is the moment that other things, other cares, other bills, other problems, and other priorities will latch itself. So, God establishes a weekly routine to allow your spirit, mind, body, soul to be detoxed and to be filled. And this is the call and the charge. That we not just live in the 21st century the way that everybody else does. Because for everybody else, rest is foreign. Rest. I got my smartphone, and on this smartphone I have 3 different email accounts. I have all of my social networks. I have NFL updates. Rest. I get an email probably once every 5-10 minutes. Rest. We have totally eliminated that word out of our vocabulary. But you got to remember, our call, yes, is to be in this world, but not of it.
That's right.
And while everybody else is going to an early grave because they're trying so hard to keep up with the Joneses, you and I have to find time to answer the invitation that, if you think about it, it's been outstanding. To come to Him vulnerable, acknowledging that, like the song says, your storage is empty and you're totally available to Him. And realizing that rest is a place of exchange. I've carried all this to this destination of rest. And I'm laying it at your feet so that I can receive what I need to face a world that is unrelenting.
Yes.
You know, this directive and responsibility that we all have is easier said than done. And even the most well-intentioned people miss the mark and fail to get the rest that they need. And I'm not exempt from that. You guys would agree that sometimes you just get so caught up in work and life and everything else that you don't even think about your own self-preservation. And I'm standing before you this morning telling you that I've been guilty of that, to the detriment of a lot of things in my personal life. And when I started, when we started Heart of the Father Christian Church, the goal was that we would worship God passionately, we would serve Him genuinely, and we would please Him ultimately. Our mission has simply been to please His heart in all that we do, from the singing to the ushering to the parking of the cars to the cleaning of the bathrooms. And we've succeeded in doing that in some areas, failed to do that in other areas, and some areas we're just kind of in between. But it absolutely does not please God. You can play the Takashi. We're about to get out of here. It absolutely does not please God for me as the pastor of this church to get so caught up and preoccupied with the affairs of this ministry and really with the affairs of life that I don't take care of very important personal things. Because ultimately, let me share something with you. If this house is in order, it doesn't make any difference if my house isn't. My house has to be in order way before this house has to be in order. And because of a lot of different reasons, I am at a point where I personally need to rest. You know, one thing that I never wanted ministry to be is a routine where you wake up and you almost have to neglect and ignore the very personal things that are happening in your own life. That's the case for a lot of pastors around this world. They wake up, get dressed early Sunday morning, and they push down into the depths of their bowels the reality of their personal life. And they come to church and they smile, and they shake hands, they preach inspirational sermons, and then they go home to a personal life that is not as, trying to use the right words, not as together as everything seems to the people that they lead. And throughout the existence of this ministry, I've never, ever propped myself up to be anything more than a regular human being that goes through regular things, that has regular struggles. And I do want to let you know that I've had no moral collapse, no infidelity, none of that stuff. Because I know that's the first thought when a pastor says that he needs some rest. Rest for what? It's just that there are things that I've let fallen by the wayside. That I've let fall by the wayside. Because I haven't been adhering to this principle of rest. So I do need to let you know this morning that I plan on taking some time. There are some things personally that I have to work on. I wish I could tell you, give me 2 weeks and I'll be back in the saddle. I wish I could tell you, give me 3 weeks. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that I can't effectively lead this house when my house isn't where it needs to be.